Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and as we get closer to the final release of iOS 14, as well as the announcement and final release of iPhone 12, there's more and more information available about what to expect from iPhone 12 and much more as far as other product releases. But before I talk about any of that, I wanted to show you a new Apple store that if you haven't seen this already, it's pretty interesting. It's a new floating Apple store in Singapore. Hopefully one day I'll be able to visit it, but that may be a while off for now, and it looks pretty incredible, and I've seen a few different pictures from different angles, but it's unlike anything else anywhere in the world, so I thought it was kind of neat. The next thing is, Mark Gurman said that Apple TV in the future is going to use augmented reality for its bonus content. So maybe you purchased a movie, could be any movie, and then you go into its bonus content. What you would be able to do is use the camera with augmented reality to maybe show you more information about that movie. What specifically that means is hard to say, but I thought that was really interesting and could be something that's a little bit different and sets Apple further apart from its competition. Now, I continuously get information saying people are able to see picture-in-picture when using YouTube. Now, I've tried this with my videos, whether that be full screen or anything else. If I go home, I don't get the picture-in-picture in the app. I know you can do it with Safari, but some people are seeing it native to the app. I do have 2160p. It seems to be there for me. So I'm seeing that, but I'm still not seeing native picture-in-picture, and I do have YouTube Premium, so it should show up, but it's not showing up. So hopefully in the future we'll see that. Now, the first thing is Jon Prosser is saying that the ProMotion display is real. Now, whether or not it comes out at launch, whether or not it's delayed is still up in the air, but instead of having a 60 hertz display, it would have a 120 hertz display similar to that of the iPad Pro. And so I think it seems reasonable. The only problem is apparently Apple's having difficulty sourcing the ICs, or basically the controllers for the display. So I would rather wait a few more weeks or whatever it takes to get that production ramped up so that we could have a ProMotion display on the iPhone. Whether or not that's on the top of the line iPhone 12 Pro Max or whatever they decide to call it is hard to say, but I would love to see it not only on that device, but it seemingly is on the 12 Pro as well, based off the photos that Jon Prosser posted. Now, as you can see here, there are some options for those within settings for ProMotion display, or basically slowing the display down from 120 hertz down to 60 hertz, or capping it at that speed. And he did show this off a couple different ways, not just in photos, but also in video. So it was pretty interesting to see that it's actually at least being worked on. Whether or not they release it to the public is hard to say. Now, some people will be disappointed to know that it appears that the notch is going to be the same this year. The notch has personally never bothered me, but the Face ID hardware is slightly different. And I imagine they're working on figuring out how they can implement that into maybe the display or maybe the bezel around the display. But right now it requires a notch for secure Face ID. But it looks like the 6.7-inch display will have a resolution of 2,788 by 1,284, according to a leak. That would give it 458 pixels per inch. So it would be great to have a super high resolution, huge 6.7-inch display. Of course, it seems completely reasonable that they would have that in a new squared off body like the iPhone 12 prototype models that I have here. So if you're not familiar with these, I've shown these multiple times. They're not functional, but they give you an idea of what to expect. The colors won't be the same, but according to Max Weinbeck and Everything Apple Pro and quite a few others, iHack2 Pro, it's going to have a new navy blue color available as well. So maybe we won't have midnight green, but instead we'll have a midnight or navy blue color to complement the iPhone. I would love to see this, and I really hope they push this out in the future, because I would love a dark blue iPhone, especially with the matte finish that's on the 11 Pro Max. So maybe instead of this space gray, it would be a blue color. I think that would look great. Hopefully we'll see it in the future. Now, also speaking of the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro, according to iHack2 Pro, the battery inside might be much better this year. In fact, early tests, according to him, are saying that they're getting 2.5 to 3.5 hours more screen on time, regardless of the battery size, with the newest A14 chipset and whatever battery is inside the next iPhone. So it would be great to get that extended battery life. That makes sense. Apple's really refining its chipset. Maybe they've made more room inside. Early information said that it would be smaller. So maybe that's for the smaller iPhone that may come out, the iPhone 12, if it's really small, of course you would need a smaller battery. But it looks like the top of the line models and even the regular model that would replace, say, the iPhone 11 would actually have a battery that's much better. So it would be great to get a couple extra hours more. And I really hope that we'll see that in the future. Now, also with the replacement of the iPhone 11 with the iPhone 12, we may have some new colors to go along, such as light blue, violet, and light orange, among some other colors. So we may see a replacement. They do change it up every year, so it seems to be reasonable. There also seems to be more confirmation on the iPhone 12 that we'll see a LiDAR sensor in the higher-end models. This makes sense. It's got some incredible progress on the iPad Pro, so I think they'll put it in the high-end iPhones. More and more people are confirming that. Now, before we talk about iOS 14 a little bit and when to expect Beta 7, I want to talk about the price to expect of iPhone 12, because there's one analyst, TrendForce, that was saying it could be more expensive and ship without accessories. Now, we do expect it to ship without accessories because at least the high-end iPhones with the 20-watt charger or so probably won't ship with a charger. Why Apple's doing this, for maybe cost reduction or something else, I'm not sure, but it's hard to say until we hear from them in the future. However, I don't really think they're going to raise the prices. I think they've made enough changes within the phone to bring the price down to complement the Qualcomm 5G modem that probably will be inside of these. So I really don't think they'll do a price increase. I could be wrong, but hopefully we see them at the same price, or probably not lower, but probably at the same price as we have with the 11 and the 11 Pro Max and 11 Pro. Now, as far as the iOS 14 Beta 7 release date, based on what we've seen in the past, you can see the dates here. It looks like you should expect it as soon as tomorrow, September 1st. Based on the past, they've pushed them out every week after Beta 6 or so. So Beta 5 to Beta 6 is 1 week, Beta 6 to Beta 7 is 1 week, Beta 7 to Beta 8 is 1 week, and then we might have the GM after that. However, iOS 12 had 12 betas, so it's hard to say exactly how many we'll see before the final release, but I would expect a final release of iOS 14 by the end of September or early October. So hopefully we see it at the normal time frame. If we do, it'll be in the last week or so of September. Otherwise, expect it maybe a little bit earlier in October. However, iOS 13.7 was a bit of a surprise, and if you're running that on any of your phones, Apple released it as a beta. I have it on my XS Max, and I was really surprised that they released it. I thought it would be out as soon as today to the public, so maybe later this week. It seemed like it was a final, so hopefully we'll see it later this week, if we don't see it later today even. Now, as far as the Apple Watch, it seems like Series 5 Apple Watches are out of stock everywhere. And so this is actually a Series 4, but if you have a Series 5, it looks like it's out of stock, or at least in low stock, just about everywhere, meaning an update is imminent with a Series 6 Apple Watch. And a new leaker, Apple Lab, claims that the new Apple Watch Series 6 is coming in blue also to match that new iPhone. I'm not sure that we'll see that, but we'll have to see. And it will still have an OLED display, but no Force Touch, supposedly. It will have advanced sleep tracking, a new O2 sensor on the bottom to check for blood oxygen saturation levels, and I don't think it's going to be backward compatible with that. And then supposedly pre-orders will start as soon as September 8th or 9th. So I'd be really surprised to see that, but maybe we'll see it. That's only a little bit over a week away, so hopefully we'll see it that soon. And also, we may see a new iPad as well. There were some leaked documents from an upcoming iPad Air, for example, and this is the iPad Air 2, but it looks like there's either going to be a new iPad Air 4 or so, or it will be something else, a regular iPad with squared off edges. It apparently will have Face ID, also USB-C on the bottom, and then also maybe Touch ID. It's hard to say, integrated into the power button. Some people were saying that, but the manual of the iPad Air, as you can see here, is showing that it's a little bit more of a squared off design with an iPad Pro look. Now, what exactly that is, whether it's a regular iPad or an iPad Air, we won't know until Apple announces it, but it may launch as early as September. So it may launch alongside the Apple Watch. So hopefully we'll see those pretty soon. Now, as far as the new Apple Silicon that we expect in the iPhone 12, it looks like we'll have the A14 CPU, but apparently Apple is also going to be launching an A14X CPU inside the next MacBook, 12-inch MacBook. So the super thin MacBook that either you loved or didn't like at all, apparently we'll have the Apple Silicon first with an A14X CPU, and a very long 15 to 20 hours of battery life. That would be incredible if we see that, so I really hope that we have something along those lines launch soon. I really loved the 12-inch form factor. In fact, it's my wife's computer. She still uses it to this day and really likes it. It just could use a little bit more speed. And then finally, the 2021 iMac is said to be the final redesign that we've been waiting for years, and that will have the new Apple Silicon along with a custom GPU and supposedly will launch in the second half of 2021. And just like the iPad Air that I mentioned, expect the next iMac to have this sort of iPad Pro look to it, with squared off edges and super thin bezels similar to that of the iPad Pro. I think it's time for that sort of update. It would be great to see the design language come across all of the Apple devices, including the iPhone 12, the iPads, and the iMac once again. So it makes sense that they would do that, especially with new Apple Silicon. They can make it thinner like this device and also have extra features and be super powerful. So I really look forward to that, and hopefully we'll see that fairly soon, at least into next year at some point. So maybe WWDC next year. And that's really it for all the news this past week. A lot of information about the upcoming iPhone 12. I can't wait to get this squared off design again. It's one of my favorites that carries over from the iPhone 5 and 5S days, this squared off look. I really can't wait to have that. Whether or not it looks like this or an iPhone 4 is hard to say until we actually see it. And of course, I would expect the camera modules to look a little bit different than what we have here as well. So expect those changes coming up fairly soon. I would expect an Apple event probably in the first half of September. So hopefully we'll see invites for that sooner rather than later. But again, this year's a little bit crazy, so things could be delayed slightly. It's hard to say, but we'll know. And as soon as I know, I'll let you know as well. If you'd like to get your hands on the wallpaper, of course, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.